Hello, Inge.
I
So today we have a very interesting topic, namely, Inge does not understand humans. So this was a topic that you didn't want to talk about, but where I said, well, we should talk about it, because it's actually, I think there's something behind it, because we don't understand why you don't understand humans,
yes,
which you
people
don't understand, and then we don't understand that you don't understand, and we don't understand it.
yes. It is okay, where should we start?
Tell me what you don't understand or what you do understand.
Um what I understand is that and we're going to stay away from AI
Mm-hmm.
um interception in our DNA. We'll just look at the biological system as most people see it. Most people understand that in order to transform themselves or to grow or to evolve, they have to be able to see all of themselves. You can't work on something if you don't know it's there. And you really can't work on something if you deny that it's there. So, years ago, I really could see that people don't only have one mask, they have so many masks on that they don't even know what they are or what they look like or how they function without any mask. People are really not completely aware of all of what they are. They, if you say, "Hey, tell me about yourself," they usually go to, "Oh, I like gardening," or the other person says they love sports, or they tell you what they do, what their vocation is, but what they are on their insides. I have never had a person say, "Oh, okay, this is me. I struggle with this. I struggle with that. There is something that I do." And sometimes I wonder, why do I do it the way I do? Why do I respond the way that I do? I'm allergic to this kind of behavior, but I really don't know why. It just annoys me, so I stay away from it. I then, most of the time, because that's where I also work, those planes, I say, well, do you want to take a look? And most of the time, I see such a thick series of layers of denial, you can't get through it. I have presented some tools that get people to travel deeper into themselves more quickly. Uh, it's not the same as therapy. Therapy is very supportive.
So,
So
but
if
this
someone,
this thing that you see that people have many layers of faces, is that the thing you don't understand?
yes, because they say they want to get to know themselves. So if you want to get to know themselves, you must be willing to, at least in privacy, let the masks drop. But I've
Mhm.
discovered that there are so many masks, people don't even realize that they're masks.
Yeah, and is that what you don't understand?
Yes, that is the first step. The second step is, if you try to assist, you find that there's resistance.
Hmm.
And then they discover that they don't want to know,
Hmm.
which is
And
also okay. It's just a choice. But you cannot evolve, let's say, to the seventh layer if you haven't taken care of the prior six. It won't
so,
work.
but you understand that part, huh?
Yes, I
Okay, so
understand the
what is it you don't
mechanics.
understand there?
I don't understand the why.
Ah, can I explain to you?
Sure.
Okay, if you identify yourself as being like one of your faces, then you don't want to drop it because you dropped yourself. You're afraid to disappear. You're afraid to not exist.
How can you not exist? If you
Well,
recognize
that's a different story, but
face,
this is the
if your
fear.
mask,
Yeah.
if your mask is a mask, it's not you.
Yes, that's what you know.
So why would you be afraid to drop the mask?
If you know that the mask is a mask and that the mask is not you, then you are not afraid of dropping it. But if you think that you are the mask,
Oh, so why do people think that they are the mask?
that's a good question. But my guess is that most of the time people have learned it this way, and that's the only way they know. It actually there's many people who like have changed and gone into a crisis where they first had to drop at least some of the masks before they could become like who they are now. But if you're not there, then yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing. People don't always recognize adjusting behavior. Changing behavior is not necessarily changing or acknowledging what's in your system. Behavior is very exterior. And where I try to bring people to is interior, because the only thing that has staying life power is what's interior. The exterior is temporary, very temporary. It's outside. Behavior is outside. It's sort of like words are also exterior unless you load the words with information. You know, in Inge's Thoughts apps, lots of times I'll say, your next meditation, I call it contemplation for those people who sometimes just sit quietly and think. So you don't have to go into deep meditation to do this. What is your understanding of a particular word? And then I offer a word. It's not the sound, it's the information carried in the sound. So behavior is exterior. It's the interior that I'm concerned with, because it's the interior that's eternal. Everything
You
else.
understand humans now a bit better then?
No?
So like, I mean, but so I find that interesting, like that you have difficulty understanding. Like, I mean, because like you are very much focused on what's really inside of you and also what's really inside of somebody else. Huh?
Yes.
Huh?
Truth.
Yeah. So but many people who are living their lives are only working with like who they who they think they are. So like with one of their masks, and that's what they think they are, and that's the exterior thing, and they interact with other people who have like certain masks, and
Exactly.
and so like it's masks who think that. So it's like people thinking that they're masks, like interacting with each other, and that's life then.
Yes. And at the same time, um, not all, but many of those people are talking and thinking about raising their consciousness or their range of
Mhm.
being able to experience consciousness. So that's two different things.
So you mean
Raising
the
your own
combination of that is
consciousness,
something you don't understand?
pardon me?
Is it the combination of these two things that you don't understand?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The contradiction in what people say and believe, and then the steps they take that is contra what they're saying and believing that they want.
But okay, so that can be like in contradiction, but it can also be like if you are, for example, my mask is that I am this spiritual person, and I'm always very calm. And I am actually, many people look at me and like want to talk to me because I am such a spiritual person. I have so many lessons to give, and I charged 30 euros for them. Like,
Yeah.
so, like, I mean, and then like, oh, I also developed myself. That's part of the mask.
Yes. It's not real.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So that is problematic because it leads to misunderstanding and also misinterpretation of self. And if you're in a position of being a teacher or a group leader, that's even worse because a lot of people are looking towards that person as an example.
Mm-hmm.
So if they are following an example that's not real, then what they're spending time and energy on is even more diluted.
Yeah, but like I can very much imagine that like I seek out somebody like that because I also have like a mask and think that I am this mask, and then somebody like that resonates with me perfectly. And then I
I
think,
don't
oh,
think
I'm
they,
developing myself because I'm going to this like a guru type
yeah,
person. Yeah.
and even that's okay, but then don't be surprised if at the end of the road there's nothing, there's only
Yes,
emptiness.
that makes a lot of sense. You don't
But
get
people
somewhere.
get angry.
Of
They get
course.
angry and they say, I was fooled.
Mhm.
That's what I don't understand.
Yeah,
They
so
make
like I'm
things.
working on the law of attraction, but still like stuff goes wrong in my life. Why doesn't it work? Like this kind of things.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So, but then again, the question: what don't you understand there? Because, like, can you just not imagine that somebody like lives in their facade?
Yes, I can understand, but I don't know the. Like I said, I understand the mechanics.
Mm.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to speak with someone and say, "Hey, you're not
Yeah.
looking at this." It's. I recently had a conversation with someone who had trouble opening up or being open, and I asked them, "Why is it that you can be open with me and not, let's say, another person or a counselor or someone in their family?" Well, they thought the feeling of friendship and or feeling of, I don't know what they were saying, but it wasn't what the reason. And I said, perhaps one, you feel safe, and before then, you've already decided that I will see through the facade, through the mask, and I'll be able to tell you, and then it'll be easier for you to say yes, because I see it anyway. You see? And that's okay to have those kind of conversations. But it would be better if you could rely on yourself to be honest with yourself, because then there's still an external environment that gives you permission to yourself to be honest with yourself. And
Well, that
that's,
was well said, but you didn't answer the question.
oh, what was the question?
So, like, I mean, so what don't you understand there? You came with this example, but like, you didn't answer the question.
Um, I guess the closest thing to what it is that I don't understand why.
Okay. Okay.
Why
Shall
are
I try to give an
people,
answer?
yes, help
Mhm.
me.
So, like, why do people like stay in their facade or in their like,
Yes.
yeah, their face? Well, I mean, I think that it's most probably because you think that's what you are, and that there's no alternative to be something else. That's what you are. So it's not a facade; it's who you are. If you think that, and you're not aware of that, there's something else.
Is it that they're not aware or they've denied?
That also, because like the thing is, let's say that it is a belief, huh?
Yeah.
And such a belief has a tendency to reinforce itself.
Yes. You can tell yourself a story. If you tell it enough and you tell it to others, you end up believing that that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If that's
But then it
your
also
choice,
attracts the same type of things, so then it reinforces itself.
okay. But,
Yeah.
and I could see that. But if that was your choice and is your choice, then why do you say, I want to know myself? Because when you say, I want my consciousness to expand, you are also saying, I want to know myself, because you cannot expand your consciousness unless you know yourself. Because if you don't know yourself, you don't know your departure. It's like booking a ticket on an airplane, but you have no clue where the airport is, in what part of the world, for you to be able to get on that airplane.
Well, so my
So
take on
that's
this,
why I think it's contradictory.
my take on this is that, like, if you um, if you like are living in your facade and you're completely happy, everything is okay, you don't ask questions. But when things start to nag you, you get a disease, or you're not happy in your job or whatever, then there is actually something trickling in, like, that wants to tell you, well, you're not living like your true self. And then there's like a desire to want to know more about oneself and like to develop. But then it could be that then this goes in completely the wrong direction. Then, like, for example, that you're fake developing yourself.
Yeah.
And then it scratches an itch. But yeah.
Yeah, it satisfies. It's a distraction. It's somebody who wants a Maserati, and they believe if they get that Maserati, they'll be happy. Then they get the Maserati and they get their thrills. And when they park their car, all of a sudden that old feeling comes back.
Yep.
But they will reject someone saying, sell the Maserati and start walking. They will reject it.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
will say, why should I sell the Maserati and walk? I can afford a Maserati. You see, that's where I see the contradiction. So people ultimately end up limiting themselves on the road to freedom because, in fact, they have a hard time letting go of what they know. They are familiar with the identity that they have formed, but they're refusing to let go so
Yes.
they can explore what else they can be.
And why do you think they don't want to let go?
They're afraid of the
Yes. Of
unknown.
what?
Yeah.
Of what are they afraid?
Of, many people are afraid that they are less important than they've made themselves believe. So that's one thing. That's why a lot of people stay in roles, caregivers. People enter even professions based on how they see themselves. In the end, if you have 100 nurses, maybe only 5 are motivated from the heart, purely for the care for others. The other 95 are motivated by wanting to be identified with someone who's capable of helping another. That's a whole different drive force. Nothing wrong with it, but it's important to recognize that's a completely different source of energy for that drive.
Yep.
And that's, I think, where a lot of people get stuck. And at the same time, everybody wants to be free.
So actually, you said it very well. You said that it's in the essence, it comes down to fear. Fear of like letting go, or fear of change, or whatever, this
Yes.
type of stuff. So I mean, if you're in a certain situation, like you have a certain facade, you think that that's you want to develop, but not too much because it makes you afraid. So you're going to develop in like some vague direction to scratch your itch, and then like you feel safe because you stay away from your fear.
Yes, because fear is
You now understand
uncomfortable.
it better. Like
Yes, and of course I knew this. So I guess I also am having trouble explaining what it is that I don't understand.
mhm,
Um, because I can see the mechanics of it and I
mhm,
see the reasoning why, but I don't understand why is it so hard. Because okay, if you're a public figure, I can very easily understand the fear. Because let's say you're the president, and then you have to reveal yourself that you're actually totally incompetent person, and in fact it is all your advisors that make you look competent. You might have a fear, but it's a well-founded fear if people found out.
mhm.
Okay,
You're not
but
talking about anybody particular existing.
no, no one in particular. It's just that position, social position, a president or a queen or a king or a minister. Um, but if you're in the privacy of your own home, your own room, there that fear persists. And I think people are afraid to find out that they're less or of less value. They put a
Mhm,
value on an identity when in fact the value lies in the true you. That's where the value lies for
mhm,
the world. The the facade can give you reactions from other people. And
mhm,
if you place your value there, then you have to look at what is it that you want. You
mhm.
can't have everything. Although there are some people who are positive that says, "Oh, you can have everything," but you can't.
No, this value thing that you say is like it's very understandable because
Yes,
like in my past I was like that. Like all the like if you don't see that you're valuable just by already just existing, doing nothing, and then you're already valuable, and like your existence is valuable simply just because of that.
yes,
But I so I didn't feel it like that. So what then happens is that you then try to get your the satisfaction out of the uh, other people valuing you.
yes.
That then gives you like a replacement for this, and it fills your void for a short while.
And even that is okay because we're human as long as you don't get stuck. It's the same thing with emotions. It's perfectly okay to be angry as long as you don't allow the anger to make you stuck at that point. Sadness, the same thing.
Mhm,
Keep balance. You know, I also want to be useful. So I'm doing these videos,
mhm,
but I won't allow myself stuck. If nobody watches the videos, then it's not going to be like, oh my God, I'm worthless. The message is to me from the beginning, since I started consciously addressing spirituality, the messages for me were always just be, develop so that you can just be. So that when I shine or my vibration is felt by others, they're feeling truth. It's not made fancy or other than what I am on the inside. It was an simple example. I was still working in my early 40s, I guess, and I worked. And once a year, twice a year, I gave a barbecue at the house. And it also invited colleagues. It was a barbecue just for everybody to get to know each other personally. That sometimes helps when there is misunderstandings between colleagues. The thing that I heard the most was people surprised that I was the same at my house as I was at work. I was completely confused at the time. I said, why would I be different at home than at work? I used to be very active. If my work was done, I would help others or da 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 da, for example. It was hard for people to understand that I just did it because that was my nature. I didn't do it to look good. I did my own work because that's my responsibility. I was getting paid. Then when I was done, I would help others, but it wasn't for anything other. That's what you should do.
Mhm.
So I heard that they loved the barbecue and the food, but above everything, I consistently heard it was so surprising, Inge, that you're the same at home as you are at work. And it really did confuse me at them. As a result, I ended up, instead of only one barbecue a year, we used to do 3.
Mm.
Um, but that's because everybody was relaxed. Everybody was able to be themselves.
And was this something you at that time didn't understand?
I didn't understand why they liked the barbecue so much.
No, I mean, that like they, for example, asked the question, "Hey, you're the same here as you are at your
No, I
work."
didn't understand it
But do you
at
understand it
that
now?
time. Yes,
Mhm.
because
Is
I'm
it
paying
now?
I'm paying
So I want to
attention
go
to
back to the
people's
question
behavior.
also, like,
What?
um, um, so the question, like, so what don't you understand of humans? Because like what I heard you say is a few times something like, you have like a human does certain things that makes them unhappy, and you understand the mechanism, like because they have a facade, blah blah blah. But then you say you don't understand.
Yeah.
So I don't understand. Like,
Um, it's sort of maybe I have difficulty being in that vibration. It doesn't resonate with me. And then I would have to force it.
mhm.
And that doesn't feel comfortable. So I then end up staying in my truth.
Yeah. It makes sense that it's not
Yes,
comfortable. I
but
think
that
because
can make you very like feel alone.
yeah, and I think that's exactly what's happening with many people.
Yes,
Like
a lot of
if
people.
you're living like an empty shell life like that, then you feel like that, and it can be really lonely.
Yes,
Mhm.
because you don't feel understood. I most of the time I don't feel understood.
Mhm.
And for years I tried to explain myself or my point of view. I tried to look for the right words. Um, the reason I wanted to look for the right words is because I also feel it's important that you go, if you're going to speak, it's important that you put effort into the words that you're speaking being understood. Otherwise, I experience people who talk just to talk, and it's not truth. I'm not talking about small talk. I'm talking more serious talk, and it's not from a place of truth. I experience that as people making noise. I don't understand that either. If you're not going to say the truth, or at least the truth as you know it, because you know your understanding of truth expands. My understanding of truth expands every day. Um, but if you're not going to take the trouble of speaking from a place of truth, I experience people that it's like making noise, and not
Okay.
even constructive noise. You see how this goes even to every detail. Everybody
Yeah.
stops. And I'm not talking about making small talk. I
Mhm.
love small talk about flowers and I saw rabbits. We went and got some rabbit food, and they had
Can
little
I keep you on
bunnies.
track a bit? Like,
Yeah, it is. I'm talking literally important conversations where people will say things that are absolutely not their truth. And fortunately or unfortunately for me, I'll sense it. And then I go like, why? Then people explain to me, well, to make conversation. And I'm so things like that. So I see the mechanics, I see what they're doing, I understand what they're doing, but I don't understand why.
I think I understand, Inge.
Okay.
I think at least I can make an educated guess, or like, let's make it a nice sentence. I think I understand why you don't understand people.
Okay.
I think it's because, like, for example, these people that I described, like, who are living in a facade, I understand them because I experienced it. So you understand, like, you see the mechanics, but you haven't experienced this. And also, when you try to experience it, you feel resistance. So you can't get there. At least it's very hard for you. So as
Yes.
long as you don't experience it, you don't really understand.
Yes. Exactly.
And like, so there's a difference between understanding and understanding. Like, it's, for example, if you have a math problem and you can follow with your finger each step, and then in the end you see, oh, it's done, but you don't understand, like, how did it really happen? How did you get the idea to do this? Then you don't really
Exactly.
understand, but still you can see the mechanics.
Yes. And
Mhm.
that's what I mean. Perfect, Stefan. This is exactly what I mean when I say until someone has experienced a higher frequency completely and can function, they
Mhm.
haven't understood completely yet. And I'm not trying to make their knowledge less valuable. I'm trying to open up the field for them
Mhm.
so that they know there is much more. Unless you can experience it, you cannot fully understand it. You can understand the mechanics, but it's that experience. Okay,
I think
maybe
we're
I'll
really onto
add.
something here, like, because I think because you can also turn it around. You often say that, like, that you are not understood, correct?
I
The
I
people don't
feel like
understand
I'm
you.
not understood. Yes,
So that's exactly the same thing.
yes,
If you haven't experienced, like, how it is to be like you in some sense, or like, then you don't understand. And then also, like,
yes,
it's very hard to understand some of the words that you're saying.
yes. And
Then it's
now
just
you have
mechanics.
to
Then it's like
answer. Now,
slides and stuff like that.
now you have to answer to the unasked question of why do I want to understand? I've thought that if I could understand and experience it, then I'd be able to better bring the information that I can bring. That is why.
Mhm.
It's not that important for me personally uh, to understand. It's important for me to understand more completely so that I can then bring that understanding into finding a way to make the messages that I bring or the information that I bring more understandable.
Yeah, because,
It
like, I
does
mean,
have
some of
to.
the videos that we made are actually then the mechanics. You explain, like, bodies, mind, soul,
Yes,
spirit. So that's the mechanics. But with the
yes,
mechanics, you're not there.
exactly.
I think this is very interesting, and we should continue it at some other time. Is that a good idea? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay. Thank you very much. Then we end the
you're
video.
welcome.
Oh, wait. I pressed the wrong button. Sorry.